Evening, everybody. Just jumping on here for a little bit on a pretty cold, snowy Wednesday night up here in Columbus, Ohio. Uh, been kind of a slow sports week, so been kind of a little not as much activity on our channels. If you look, pay attention down at the bottom there, you'll see all of us scrolling by, all the channels. You can go like, subscribe, join, comment, whatever you want to do. Just decided. Jump on tonight, put a little more content out there, just kind of random stuff. Just a little bit of everything. Anybody that wants to pop on, if you're watching, jump in, throw comments down there. We'll get to them all. Didn't think we were going to have much to talk about today, but then shortly before my work day ended, we get hit with the news that Michigan has decided to move on from Sherrone Moore. Due to inappropriate behavior, whatever. Pretty high profile job popping open. Going to be real curious to see where Michigan goes. Couple of names that I've already been hearing people throw out for possibles. It's nothing obviously set in stone, and I'm not even going to say that they don't just hire from within. I don't know what their plan is. I'm sure they have one. There's a few names out there that they could throw at. Tony Elliott from Virginia could be a name to keep an eye on. I was talking to some other buddies of mine, and we threw out the name. Maybe they throw something at Bill O'Brien from Boston College. Just a couple of random names. I don't know really what direction. Michigan's one of those jobs that they're not going to have a shortage of people lining up for it. They'll have anybody they want for that job. Kalen DeBoer's name keeps surfacing, and I just don't get that one. I don't get why DeBoer would leave in Alabama for a Michigan. I mean, they're both blue bloods in the sport. So just a little craziness. Not sure, like I said, what they're going to do. It was just kind of out of the blue. I guess we're just going to have to see, what's out there. The other thing to remember is even though some of these coaches have taken other jobs, there's nothing guaranteed until that coach has put pen to paper, much like National Signing Day. A kid can say, I'm going to go to Alabama, but until he signs that letter of intent, he's not going. So there's numerous things there too, that some of these coaches, if they haven't put pen to paper on the contract, they could still, move around. See Doug's in the comments. Let me see. I think I forgot to email him the link. I don't even know. Are you able to even jump on stream if I send you the link, Doug, or are you just kind of chatting? Because I know you're on your way to see your daughter up in Arkansas. So we're going to see what they can do. Going to be interesting to keep our eye on moving forward. How does this affect recruiting? How does this affect kids on the staff right now? Do Underwood or some of these other kids transfer out now? So there's a lot of dominoes that can fall from something like this, of course, as you all are aware. But other than that, not really much else to talk about on that topic. Got, kind of a slow week, college football. Obviously, you got Army Navy this weekend, which is always a good game to watch. And then you've got next week you crank off the playoffs crank up, which has been a lot of hot topic here lately. We're not going to get into a bunch of that. I think there's been enough content out there on who's in, who's out. There's enough out there that we don't need to waste our time or breath on that. Got some bowl matchups coming up. That's going to be something I'm going to delve into. I'm sure some of the other guys on the channels down there will jump into it too. I'm actually going to try to put together a group on ESPN's bracket challenge, make it public or private, sorry. And I'll be posting the link under the post section on my page, SEC Sean, on YouTube. If you, y'all can click on that and there'll be the password and the group name and all that. And you can, join in, just something for fun. There's, no, I'm not ESPN, so we're not shelling out a bunch of money for it, but, something to do to have a little fun, if I can get it to all work. Of course, we got a big weekend down in Texas where I'm originally from with high school football. We are in our state semifinal range. May try to go live on Friday and do some semifinal breakdowns. Lots of good teams still left down there. Let's see where else we going. Trying to come up with some more topics here. You got, of course, the lawsuit. I'm a big NASCAR guy. I got the big lawsuit going over there, so keeping an eye on that, seeing where that angle falls. Just not a lot going on. College basketball's going on. Let's see who we got playing tonight. I think we only got like 3 ranked teams playing tonight. Let's see. Yeah, you got Purdue and Minnesota, Houston and Jackson State, and Nebraska and Wisconsin going tonight. So kind of a slow week for sports, to be honest with you. You got NBA going too. So hockey, of course, really, really focused in on hockey right now. Hockey's more my sport. Hockey, NASCAR, football, more my sports. Pretty good season so far. My team's doing pretty good so far, sitting second in the Western Division, the Dallas Stars. Columbus has got all the talent. They've got to find a goaltender. They can't. I've seen so many games this year where they score 5 goals and give up 7. That's not acceptable. We got to figure something out there on the goaltending end, because they've got super talent all over that hockey team. Just can't seem to nail that goaltender position down. World Cup draw, got that coming up. The World Cup coming up next year. It's going to be all over the U.S. Me and my buddy Adam, he's a big soccer guy. If y'all have seen us, we're really looking forward to start breaking that down, looking at some of the different venues where they might play. I think I'm not sure if they're going to play in Columbus this year. I know they normally do, the U.S. men's team, but I don't know. I have to look up where all the venues and the draws are. Jose, what do we got going here? How do you feel about all the coaching changes? Let me put this up here. Got FanDuel Jose in the chat here. How do you feel about all the coaching changes for college football playoff teams? And how much do you think it'll affect some of these teams? Super question. I'm not 100% sure. I mean, it's got to have an effect, you would assume. I know A&M's offensive coordinator has accepted the Kansas job. I don't know that affects A&M too much, as Mike Elko said in his press conference the other day. A lot of people think that it's just one guy, and it's not. Yes, Klein calls plays, but there's numerous other people. Holman Wiggins, he's a wide receivers coach, co-OC. He's my pick. I think is actually going to be the OC at A&M next year. And I'm hearing rumblings that they might look for a new quarterback coach. And the name I'm hearing thrown out there is one I'm really excited about. If it goes that route, there's no guarantee, but he's the current, he's at SMU, and he's a former college football player, played in the USFL or UFL, named De'Aaron King. Used to play at the high school my son went to. But some of the coaching changes, I mean, the big one you really want is the whole Lane Kiffin thing. Now, it lost a little bit of its effect, I think, because all of the offensive staff is back coaching at LSU right now. Maybe not all of them, but Charlie Weiss Jr. is, and he was, the main one. Yeah. So, I mean, it's still not the head coach. You don't have that head coach there throughout these prep for Tulane. Now, I think Ole Miss got lucky by the committee and gave them Tulane. I think they easily could have flipped A&M and Ole Miss. And then I think Ole Miss would have had Miami, Notre Dame, whoever. It wound up being Miami, so that's what we'll go with. So I just think that one could be interesting. I mean, I know Mississippi beat Tulane by 35 earlier in the season, but teams get better as the year goes on, and now you've lost your head coach. How much fire is there with that team? Do they play for Golding? So that one's going to be interesting to see. Ohio State losing Heartline, I don't think that affects it too much. I think Ohio State and A&M are kind of in the same boat. The way their coaches are looking at it is, I know both play callers are going to stay there throughout the playoff run, but I think the coaches are looking at it as it's not a one-person job, it's a committee. And so I don't think those are going to hurt anything. The Oregon OC, is he staying? I need to find that out. Is he staying through the playoffs, or is he going to go ahead and go to Kentucky and start building that staff? Because if he's not there, I mean, obviously Oregon's not going to lose to James Madison. Let's pump the brakes on anything there. But if he's not there when that second round matchup with Texas Tech and that defense, that could be a little crazy. That could really affect that offense against that kind of a defense. But I don't know if he's staying through the playoff run or not. I'll have to look into that. See, I thought he was too, FanDuel. I thought he was staying too, but I haven't done 100% research on that one. I'm curious, about that, but I don't think you're going to see much change from some of the schools. I don't think it's going to hurt as much as like the schools with the OCs and DCs leaving. I don't think it's going to hurt as much as if it was the head coach and he wound up taking the staff. If all the offensive staff would have left Ole Miss, I'm not saying Tulane wins, but Ole Miss is definitely one and done, which they're probably going to be one and done anyway. But if Ole Miss would have lost their whole staff and then got a draw with like Miami, I don't see them getting out of the first round. I know if nobody's heard it, I know College Game Day is going to be at the A&M game. I'm not real fond of that. I think the last 3 times College Game Day's been in College Station, we've lost. So not sure I really want them to come, but we'll take it. First playoff game for A&M, first playoff game for Miami. Think it's going to be electric. Don't like the fact it's at 11 a.m. I understand these time slots were set, long time ago, but you're having A&M and Miami on at 11 a.m. and then you're running James Madison and Oregon at 7:30 p.m. That's nobody's going to watch that game. Somebody will watch it, but it's not going to get the views of an A&M and a Miami at night. It's not. Somebody said that, does the NFL start playing that next Saturday? Yeah, that's why they slotted it then, because the NFL starts playing on Saturday next week. They got the Eagles and Commanders on December 20th at 5 p.m. So ESPN put this game, the A&M and Miami game, on at 11 to avoid that clash with the NFL. And then you'll have the college football, because you got 2 games on the 20th, the Eagles, Commanders, and Packers, Bears, 5 o'clock and 8:20. So those will coincide with the college, the 2 Tulane, Ole Miss, and Oregon, JMU. So that's actually pretty smart the way ESPN set that up. Especially because the I think the Alabama-Oklahoma game is the 19th at night. On Saturday, the 20th, is the A&M Miami game at 11. And then you drop down, and then you, of course, got Tulane Ole Miss going against the Eagles and Commanders, and JMU and them going against the Packers and the Bears. And those two other games are on TNT. So they're not even on, I don't want to discredit TNT, but they're not on the big national networks. So that's one thing that is pretty smart. So I didn't realize the NFL. I knew the NFL was going to play Saturday games because they always do near the end of the year. I just didn't realize it started right then. What are you? I know you're in the chat, Zay. I know you're probably busy too. What are your thoughts on Moore, though? What are your thoughts on Michigan firing Moore? Obviously, I mean, it's not. He wasn't fired for bad performance. He was fired for inappropriate behavior. Which of course saves Michigan from all the buyout money too, because he's fired for cause. But I was, at the beginning, I was throwing out, where's Michigan go from here? I just don't know. Yeah, you're probably right. He probably would have gotten fired after next season if he doesn't have a better season. Yeah. But now what do you do? I mean, I don't even know where they go. It's definitely going to be interesting for sure where they go with this. Yeah, who was that? Was that their like OC, or was it an O-line? Who do you remember who took over for those two games? What FanDuel says, he should hire the guy that took over from those two games. They looked pretty good those games. So you also got a name. I don't know if he'd be a head coach, but Neuheisel out there from UCLA, where he was pretty good. I know his name was floated around for some of the other jobs too. I don't know if that's a fit. I mean, Michigan takes a different fit to be at Michigan. It's kind of, we've talked about, you got to have the fit for like the Penn State job when it was open. It can't just be anybody. You have to have a fit for an A&M. You have to have the fit for Ohio State, Texas. There's a fit culture for all of those places. And Michigan's always been one that, they're going to get who's available. The best that's available, they'll get. That they want, I should say. Whoever's at the top of their list, as long as he's not locked in, they'll have a chance to go get. So I don't know. It's just a weird day today. Been a weird week with, like I said, not a lot going on. Got trying to see. I don't even know what's on tonight. Let's see if there's anything good on tonight. I know there's been some moves made in baseball with the Mets are like losing everybody here. Got got Pete Alonso going to the Orioles. You had Brandon Nimmo traded to the Rangers. Diaz signed with the Dodgers, the closer over there. I mean, there's people going everywhere. Not even any really good hockey on tonight. Any good NBA games tonight? No. Well, Spurs-Lakers. Spurs-Lakers going on tonight. This is the quarterfinals of that NBA Cup. And then you got the Suns and Thunder. Man, the Thunder, dude, that team, I mean, defending NBA champions, 23-1 this year. I mean, they might shatter every win record there is. That team is just nasty. And they just got one of their better players back, if I'm not mistaken. NBA is not my big sport, but I do kind of sort of follow it a little bit. I'm sure hanging out with these guys, I'll get a little more into it. I've always been more college sports related than anything else. Let's see what's going on here. I don't know. Just not a lot going on. Like I said, I just wanted to try to jump on, throw a little bit out there, bring out the Moore firing and a couple other things. I'm sure, we'll have more content as the week progresses. I can pretty much promise you we're going to have comment all next week, leading up to the playoff games. And as long as A&M wins their game against Miami, I can promise you the week after that, there's going to be even more going on, because that'll pit, unfortunately, earlier than I wanted it to, that'll pit my Aggies against everybody else's Buckeyes, it seems. So I'm sure there's going to be some talks going on there. Now I will say this. Even if you're not a football fan, if you go to that game, you will be more entertained at halftime by two of the best bands in the world. Ohio State's marching band is phenomenal. A&M, different style, not really a marching band. It's a military-based band, but phenomenal. The moves that they do as the band and the stuff I've seen Ohio State's band do. So at least I kind of have that I guess if the game's out of hand at overtime, if the game is out of hand at halftime, I can watch the halftime show before I go to bed. So really good matchup there. I'm looking forward to it. I mean, they say to be the best, you got to beat the best. And Ohio State is still, the best there is out there. So we'll see. We'll do we're going to give it our go, though. I'll tell you that much. So there'll be definitely some stuff there. Yeah, Doug, most definitely. We can do Friday high school. I just need to know what time you want to go. Friday, just message me and let me know what time you want to go, and we'll break it down. We're going to hit all the classes like we did, since it's such a short week with there not as many games to go through. So, but we'll hit all the classes, kind of like we did last time. We'll go smallest to largest. But yeah, y'all, we'll be on Friday with some high school talk for sure. For most teams, I'd say that, but y'all travel. There's no shortage of Ohio State fans all over the U.S. Y'all will have no problem. Will it be a road environment for y'all? Of course it will be. I told somebody today, if the stadium holds 100,000, you're probably looking at a 60-40 split A&M fans. Maybe 70-30, I don't know. But Ohio State's going to have a good contingent of fans there, I promise that. But it is in the Cotton Bowl. It is in Texas. So there is that. But Indiana did fill up Lucas. That's for sure. But I think Indiana fans wanted that more than Buckeye fans. I don't mean that as a slight to Buckeye fans. I know y'all want another Big Ten title because it's been a minute since y'all got one. I want to say 2019? But I don't know that Ohio State fans were as anxious to drive over to Indianapolis to watch it as they will be to fly down to Texas for a playoff game, if that makes sense. And again, that's not a slight to Buckeye fans. It's not a slight to Indiana in the Big Ten championship. That's just, Buckeye fans are just, they expect more. The Big Ten title isn't their big thing. They want more. They want that big trophy at the end. You can have all the little trophies you want as long as we can have the big one. That's all they care about. But not to diminish the Big Ten championship game. That is good. And Indiana won one. So I just think it being in Indianapolis with Indiana, two undefeated teams, I just think that y'all were kind of never going to be, fill it up more than they would. But I just think the Cotton Bowl, y'all will be good. Did y'all? Did you play Texas in the Cotton Bowl last year? Were y'all in the Cotton Bowl last year against Texas, or was that somewhere else? I have to look into that. One of these days, I'm actually going to have some research done before we do one of these shows, and I can look like I know more about what I'm talking about. But then that would ruin the fun of it. So, I know, I don't know. I mean, I'm looking at some of the matchups, and if things go the way I expect them to go in the playoffs, I need to do some more digging into this Oklahoma Alabama game. I need to look at that one a little closer. Obviously, two of the first round games are not even going to be fun. The A&M Miami game, that's probably the game of the week, even though it's 8-9 are playing in Oklahoma, Alabama. I still think Miami and A&M is the better game. I think it's going to be just super electric between those two. And Kyle Field, I can only imagine, is going to be just nuts. Miami's saving grace is that game's not at night. But we'll still put 108,000 people in that stadium at 11 a.m. So, based on how things fall, you got some real intriguing matchups. And we'll get into this more next week. You could have some real intriguing matchups in the second round that would pretty much the whole second round could be must watch TV with, you're looking at the potential Oregon, Texas Tech. You're looking at potential Alabama OU versus Indiana. I don't think Alabama matches up well with Indiana. But that Oklahoma, I'd like to see Oklahoma's defense against that Indiana. I'd love to see those two. Now, I don't know that Oklahoma can score enough, but I don't know if Indiana can score enough on Oklahoma's defense. I mean, I know they scored 13 on Ohio State. I'm not saying Oklahoma's defense is better than Ohio State, but they got a really good defense too. So that could be real interesting. Tulane getting another shot at Ole Miss. It's possible. I think it's going to be closer than 35, like it was in the first game for sure. But I don't see it. I could see maybe a 14-point difference this time. But what do they always say about these lower level teams? If you or not lower level, that's a bad way to phrase it, but the group of five or the Cinderella, so to speak. If you let them hang around, they get confident, and then anything can happen. So it could be real interesting. I still think Ole Miss should beat them. But these other teams too. I mean, like Tulane and Ole Miss especially. How does the layoff affect Ole Miss with all this going on? Just hearing about it more and more and more and more. Where Tulane, they know their coach is leaving. They get it. But Tulane, you understand that if you have success, you're probably going to lose coaches. Because it's no disrespect to Tulane, but you're a stepping stone school. Coaches go there, prove they can win to get options at a bigger school. And that's how it is. I don't see anybody saying Tulane is their dream job. Nothing against Tulane. It's a great school, fine school. But I think Tulane is more apt to deal with something like losing Summerall. Difference is he's still there, so that's a big difference too. But they have game film on Ole Miss. Not just game film, but they have their game film. It's easier to break down your game film against an opponent you've already faced because it's easier to teach the kids, this is where you were wrong on this play, or this is what you did right on this play against the team you're fixing to see. So could be interesting. Still got Ole Miss winning it. And then, that sets up, this is what I hate, a potential rematch again of Georgia Ole Miss. And Georgia pushed Ole Miss. That Georgia Ole Miss scored on their first 5 possessions, I believe. Touchdowns on their first 5 possessions. And Georgia did what Georgia does and found a way and fought back and won the game. I think this is a much different Georgia team than it was a few weeks ago. for sure. I don't think this is the same Georgia team. This team is playing different. They look different. And then, of course, you got the A&M Miami game. Winner moves on to face, excuse me, face Ohio State in the next round. So, I mean, whoever comes out of that round, playing Ohio State, I think it's going to be must watch. You're either going to have a Miami team who has pretty decent, history with Ohio State. They've matched up a few times in some pretty big games. And then you've got an A&M, kind of the new kid on the block. A&M and Ole Miss and Tech, kind of the new kids on the block. Indiana even, don't really have much to lose. Just put the ball, as Elko likes to say, put the ball in the 50 and let's go. So I'd love to see A&M and Ohio State. I don't know that I'd love to see Ohio State, but again, why not? Something I've always wanted. I've been up here for 5 years and I've always wanted it. I got to see it in basketball a couple of years ago when A&M came up here and played Ohio State, but never thought I'd have the chance to see it in football, even though I won't be able to see it live. I don't have that kind of money. Now, if some of y'all start subscribing and doing more to this channel, then maybe I can have the money and go down there and do a live show. But until then, I don't have that kind of money. But I just think we're in a stretch where we could have some, which is like the regular season. We could have some really good matchups going through these playoffs in this college bracket, and we're definitely going to be getting into it more next week for sure. I know we'll be going live, Doug and I, on Friday doing high school stuff. I might go on again on a Sunday and do some World Cup stuff. We'll see. Haven't quite figured out my weekend yet. Depends on what the wife has planned. We all know how that goes. But I don't know. Interested, excited, watching, listening, checking out different things. I don't like the fact that our left tackle made the comment that he wasn't really sure who the edge rusher for Miami was and didn't really bother him too much. That dude's a top 5 probably pick in the NFL draft, and you just gave him all kinds of material. So I hope you're up for the challenge, Trezun. But he said it. It's not like one of the interior linemen said it. So, if my guard or center, if I'm that tackle, says that, then I'm probably doing something to that guard or center's equipment. And if you've played football, you kind of know where that's going. Yeah, but he said it himself. So, if you're going to put yourself out there, you better man up and handle it. I know the finalists for the Joe Moore Award were announced today, or yesterday maybe. Was kind of shocked. A&M didn't. I know they were semifinalists. They didn't make the finals. This will make a lot of people up here happy. The finalists are all Big Ten schools. Iowa, Indiana, and Oregon are the 3 finalists for the Joe Moore Award. It is what it is. I know. Let me see, what other awards? Well, these are SEC awards, but I know our edge rusher, Cassius Howell, was SEC Defensive Player of the Year. He got that award. Haven't really seen many others yet. Heisman be coming up. Finalists announced for that was it Mendoza from Indiana, Julian Sand, QB from Ohio State, Jeremiah Love, running back from Notre Dame, and Diego Pavia, quarterback from Vandy. Don't know who's going to get it. I mean, it is what it is at that. I mean, I could see Mendoza. I could see any of them winning it. if you give it to the best player in football, I probably lean Love. I probably lean Love if I'm going to give it to somebody. But I've said it numerous times. I wouldn't mind seeing Pavia win it, not because he's from the SEC, just because that dude's crazy. And I'm curious what he would do. There's just no telling with that guy. He's just like Johnny Manziel 2.0, which I'm not even sure that's a good thing. So kind of what we're at with the college football stuff. I did see this week that the Browns, for any Browns fans up here, I'm a Bengals fan, but don't hold it against me. So they're just going to let Shador run the season out as the starting quarterback, and I think that's the right decision. He's had moments where he's looked really good. He's had some moments, but he's a rookie. You know, it's not many rookies come into the NFL and light it up right away. It takes a year or two, and so that I think that's the right call for the Browns. We'll see what happens with that. Like I said, got my lawsuit going on my NASCAR series. We're about 2 months away from the kickoff of the NASCAR series starting back up, so it's creeping up on us pretty quick. I don't know. Anybody else? Y'all got anything else? Throw it out there. We'll jump on it. If not, we're going to make this a little quick one and get on. And I'm going to go eat some dinner and relax. But y'all, anybody watches this, check it out. Like I said, go like, subscribe. You got WTP for life. That's Rob. You got Parlay Poe with the Blitzburg podcast. You got Postgame 86, our Postgame with the Postgame 86 podcast. You got Level Up Sports 10 with Moss. He do a lot of interviews with people. You got FanDuel Zaya, who's been in the chat all night. I appreciate it, bro. Throwing some questions and keeping it rolling for a little bit. He got his podcast, the FanDuel Zaya podcast. Got some good stuff. There's some who else we got? We got City League TV, does a lot of following like the city leagues around the Columbus area and high school stuff. I think that's everybody we got. And then me, SEC Sean. Don't hold the name against me. It's just where I'm from. So, like I said, man, go like, subscribe. There's good content on all these channels. All these dudes are good dudes. Just, hit them up. Check out their content when they're live. They hit the little bell. It'll let you know when they're live. It'll let you know when we're live as a group. WTP Sports. Hit it up. Like us. Throw comments. We answer everything you throw out there. We'll answer. I'm not going to guarantee you're going to like the answer we're going to give, but we're going to answer it. So, other than that, ladies and gentlemen, y'all have a good evening. I'm going to go jump on and get some dinner. Watch the fire crackle for a while. So we'll catch up. And Doug, I'll catch up with you tomorrow. I'll shoot you a text and we'll figure out a time that works to do the high school stuff on Friday. So y'all have a good night. Be safe seeing your daughter up there in Arkansas. Tell her I said hi. And I need a schedule from her softball so I can figure out how I can figure out where she's playing so I can go watch her play. Y'all have a good night. We'll catch y'all on the next one.